All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So one day after the Las Vegas Raiders officially signed Gardner Minshew, we see a report that they are still interested in trading up. In fact, they've been still making calls to trade up. So Albert Breer of MMQB revealed that news in response to a mailbag question from a Raider who asked if the Raiders were quote unquote working to trade up, and if so, how far. And here's what he had responded with. So the Las Vegas Raiders have had exploratory talks on moving up into the top three, Breer wrote. Will they do it? I don't think that the first three picks will wind up being traded, and after you get past that, it depends on the team's evaluation of McCarthy and maybe a couple of others, and from there, it depends on whether it gets to the point where the former Michigan QB won't make it to 13, which is certainly possible. We've still got a long way to go. I actually totally agree with Albert Breer. I don't think that any of the top three picks in this year's draft class will be traded. We'll talk about Justin Fields in just 1 second. But, we've been talking the last couple of days ever since the Raiders officially signed Gardner Minshew, or were going to sign Gardner Minshew, that, you know what, maybe that means the Raiders weren't going to trade up to pick number 3 or pick number 2. Well, I guess that's still up in the air. So before we get any further into tonight's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL Raiders content. Raiders fans, if you try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. So we'll talk about the Raiders' very minimal moves thus far in offseason, or in free agency rather, a little bit later on in the video. But you have two quarterbacks on your roster right now, and rookie Aiden O'Connell entering his second year. He showed us a lot of promise. He had 8 touchdowns to just 0 interceptions in his final 4 games of the regular season. And then you just picked up Gardner Minshew, who did an exquisite job with the Indianapolis Colts, getting them to the borderline playoffs. He is, in my opinion, the perfect backup quarterback. So the Raiders can take a couple of different routes here. You have the 13th pick. You've got over $40 million in cap space, and things are just interesting. So, the more I look back on it, I really like the Gardner Minshew pickup, whether he's day one starter, whether he is competition for Aiden O'Connell, whether he's the backup quarterback to a Justin Fields, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy, doesn't matter. I'm just glad Gardner Minshew is on this roster, because it's a night and day difference from the Jimmy Garoppolo acquisition last season. Like, Gardner Minshew can play. He's shown us time and time again. He's been all across the, or not all across, he's been on a couple of different teams in the NFL, and he's put together stretches where you can rely on him. So, worst case scenario, the Raiders don't draft a quarterback. They don't trade for Justin Fields. And these are your two quarterbacks, or your two main quarterbacks going into this upcoming season. What I think would be most likely is, first off, they'll battle it out in camp, and then you'll see maybe Gardner Minshew win the battle, go through the first half of the season. If it's working, perfect, run with it for the second half. If it's not, all right, let's see what Aiden O'Connell can do, and then we'll go from there at this time next season. But we just saw that Justin Fields, here's a quote from The Athletic, Jeff Howe, there's been interest and the market is evolving with other veteran free agents finding homes over the past couple of days. Reportedly, Justin Fields is obviously being shopped from the Chicago Bears, but reportedly, the Las Vegas Raiders could still potentially trade for Justin Fields. So, with all the news and all the rumors we've been hearing today from the Raiders stand, it kind of feels like another quarterback move could be in the works here. I don't know if it's going to be Justin Fields. I don't know if it's going to be a trade for, pick number 2, pick number 3. Regardless, guys, I think Jaden Daniels is that dude. But regardless of the top 3 picks, it's looking pretty much set in stone that it's going to be Caleb Williams, and then either Drake May or Jaden Daniels, and whoever doesn't go number 2 is going number 3. It seems at this point that the most likely scenario for the Raiders as far as drafting a rookie QB would be trading up to pick number 6, pick number 7, pick number 8, and selecting JJ McCarthy out of the University of Michigan. We've talked about that a couple of different times on this channel. But, whether they do any of that, whether it's Gardner, whether it's Aiden, whether it's Justin, whether it's Jaden, whether it's JJ, it doesn't matter to me, because the Raiders still have a really competent offense, and they're obviously free agency began like 6 hours ago. The Raiders aren't done. They're not done in free agency. They haven't done anything too crazy. Gardner Minshew re-signed Andre James. They picked up a tight end from the Browns today, more of a platoon player. Obviously Christian Wilkins, an A-plus signing on the defensive trenches, which, like, seriously, I think at this time next season, the acquisition of Christian Wilkins is going to be one of the best of this entire offseason. We talked about that all this past couple of days. But the Raiders aren't done. At the end of the day, I also still have Devontae Adams. I still have Jacoby Myers. They did cut officially Hunter Renfrow. I hate to say it. We've been saying it on this channel for months and months and months. It didn't make any sense that Hunter Renfrow would be on this roster this time next season. And that was officially done earlier today. He was officially cut. They freed up a bunch of money. You're going to see and Trey Tucker, you're going to see a new wide receiver be picked up in the next couple of days or maybe even the next couple of weeks. You're going to see a veteran running back picked up in the next couple of weeks. These are my opinions. And it looks like the quarterback position isn't fully set in stone here. The cornerback position is also interesting because they lost rotational player Amik Robertson to the Detroit Lions. So the current cornerbacks on the roster, and we'll talk about this in the next couple of days a little bit more in depth, mainly Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs. Those are your two starters right there. And then I got rookie Jacorian Bennett coming off a fine season in his rookie season. There are some names still out there at the time of this recording. You got Kendall Fuller from the Washington Commanders. You got Stephon Gilmore. You got Steve Nelson. You got Xavier Howard. There's a bunch of veteran free agent cornerbacks out there on the market that I do think the Raiders will 100% target. That's, we'll wait and see with all that. Running back, wide receiver, cornerback, et cetera, offensive line, obviously. I do have a feeling that their first round pick, if it's not going to be a quarterback, which, if I have to be quite blunt with you guys, it doesn't really seem to me like they're going to be selecting a quarterback in the first round if I had to put money on it. My guess would be cornerback, but my main guess would be an offensive lineman, specifically the right tackle position. Jermaine Illuminor is now no longer with the Raiders, so they've got some holes to fill. The good news is, and we've been talking about it all offseason, the Raiders, they've had a quiet offseason because they don't have as many holes that they have to fill as they have in the last multitude of seasons. So, it's been a little bit underwhelming, but at the end of the day, dude, Christian Wilkins is a massive upgrade, a massive signing, and Gardner Minshew, regardless of his position next season, I do think is beneficial for the Raiders. So my point is, they're not done. Reportedly, they're not done with the quarterback position either. So we'll wait and see. But let me know what you guys are thinking about it down below in the comments. As always, hit that like button, hit that sub button, and we will see you soon.